This article is from thatparkplace.com. Starfleet Academy Nielsen ratings show a complete disaster for Star Trek. Well, what a shocker. Star Trek Starfleet Academy is a ratings disaster. Not only is the show probably the worst Star Trek show ever made, who's seriously going to argue against that? It's also just really bad television. It's not just that the writing, stories, tone, characters don't fit with Star Trek. It's also that the creative ingredients that make up the show are bad in and of themselves, producing a final product that is atrocious television, just really bad to watch. The article says, the first official Starfleet Academy Nielsen ratings are now in, and the numbers paint a bleak picture for Paramount Plus's latest attempt to expand the Star Trek television universe. According to newly released Nielsen streaming data covering the show's premiere tracking window, Starfleet Academy failed to chart in the top 10 originals entirely. And that's not something that would have happened for a brand new Star Trek show back in the day. Star Trek is a major brand, a major franchise, a major pop culture icon, and it should definitely be at the top of the pile when it comes to ratings, especially in the beginning. And of course, series premiere episodes, pilots, that sort of thing, they are among the most watched episodes of a show. It says that absence is significant on its own, but the context surrounding the debut makes the performance even more concerning for Paramount's flagship franchise play. Now, keep in mind, Paramount released the first episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy for free on its YouTube channel in America. And during the live stream of that premiere, because it was live streamed, there were only like a little over 1,300 people watching. And I think the video went on to bring in, correct me if I'm wrong, something like over 220,000 views over the next few weeks, which really wasn't very much views. Given the millions spent on the show, it is an expensive show. One would have expected a big Star Trek premiere to at least, crack the million views mark. But it was nowhere near. It was nowhere near in the end. It says this wasn't a single episode launch quietly testing the waters. Paramount rolled out Starfleet Academy with a 2-episode premiere, a strategy specifically designed to inflate total minutes viewed and generate early momentum. Even with that built-in advantage, the series couldn't break into Nielsen's originals rankings during its debut week, the 343 million minute benchmark. To understand the scale of the miss, it's important to look at the entry threshold. The number 10 original on Nielsen chart for that week, Runaway, logged 343 million minutes viewed. That figure represents the minimum performance required just to appear on the list. The 2 premiere episodes combined totaled roughly 135 minutes of runtime. So there you go. The ratings were just bad. They were just that bad. They were nowhere near where they needed to be for the premiere episode to appear in the top 10. What's extraordinary is that these ratings, the Nielsen's, they used to be the only game in town when it came to determining the success or failure of a TV show. And yes, absolutely, there have been lots of shows down the years that were cancelled before their time, that shouldn't have been cancelled and were later, considered critical successes, like the original Star Trek series, for example. But yeah, I don't think after this show goes off the air, I don't think people are going to be looking back at Starfleet Academy with rose-tinted glasses thinking, this show was cancelled before its time. I think people will be looking back going, how the hell was this show greenlit in the first place? But this show is guaranteed a second season, despite the fact that the first season hasn't even finished airing yet, and its ratings are bad. And it's a very expensive show. It's a huge budget. So how do these ratings justify the expenditure on this show? But the second season is happening now, right? They're actually currently in production. They're filming the second season. And as you're aware, the show is not exactly enjoying much love from long-time Star Trek fans. But what these ratings suggest is what we've suspected for some time, that the new audience, the modern audience that we're told that these kind of shows are aimed at, either that modern audience doesn't exist in significant numbers, or they're not interested and clearly watching something else because this show doesn't speak to them. This show doesn't speak to them. Apparently it's made for a modern audience, but they could have just made a Star Trek show for Star Trek fans. Apparently that was just not something they could do for us. But I suspect things aren't going to get any better here. If they're already in the process of shooting season 2, it means the scripts are locked down and unlikely to change. So very little can be learned from the mistakes of season 2, assuming the producers and writers are interested in taking on board the mostly negative feedback that the show has received from fans. I just don't expect the current regime running Star Trek to listen to the fans. They obviously know that something like Star Trek Picard Season 3, one of the rare recent successes for Star Trek, was more popular than its first 2 seasons. So the first 2 seasons of Picard were atrocious. And the third season was this anomaly that was actually very good. And surely they can understand why Season 3 was better than the first 2 seasons. Why fans liked Season 3 more. Why did fans gravitate more towards that season? What was right? What did they get right with Season 3 that they didn't get right with the first 2 seasons? And that's all you have to do. You just have to keep doing what works. They could have continued delivering that kind of quality of storytelling. They could have built on the success of Season 3 of Picard. So they could have given us Star Trek Legacy, which was a concept for a continuation of that third season of Picard. No, that's not what we got. Instead, it's like they went out of their way to give us the things that we did not want. So we got another season of Discovery, a couple more seasons of Strange New Worlds, the utter travesty that was Section 31, a TV movie, and this frickin' masterpiece, Starfleet Academy. So they have to know what works for the fans and what doesn't. At this point, at this stage, they have to know. They chose not to make Star Trek Legacy. They actively chose to deliver another show that fans have clearly little interest in. So it seems that subverting fan expectations, which we've seen in other franchises like Star Wars, is clearly the objective, which is to say giving audiences what they don't want, which is ultimately a disservice to the franchise. Those are my thoughts on this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.